Hello friends, Jim here with Science Talk. Well, here we go again about polar glaciers. They're unstable and they're losing ice ever faster. As oceans warm, Antarctica's ice sheets are at a growing risk, which we already know, with polar glaciers losing ice at rates to match the height of not seen before. In other words, the rate of change, the rate of loss of the ice sheets is on a scale we do not have evidence for. Almost a quarter of all the glaciers in West Antarctica have been pronounced unstable. This means, in simplest terms, that they're losing ice to the ocean faster than they can gain it from falling snow. Last 25 years, most of the largest flows have accelerated the loss of ice five-fold, 5 times. And in places, some glaciers, including those known as Pine Island and Thwaites, and you've heard me, and I've discussed this numerous times before. Again, please go through my video library and look at those reports, have thinned by 122 meters. It's almost 400 feet. This means that the thickness of the ice between the surface and the bedrock over which the glaciers flows has fallen by almost the height of the Great Pyramid of Cheops in Egypt, and far more than the Statue of Liberty in New York or the Tower of Big Ben in London. Okay, I guess that's for reference, for people to help envision that. The conclusions are based on climate simulation matched against 800 million measurements, 800 million measurements of the Antarctic ice sheet recorded by the altimeters aboard 4 orbiting satellites put up by the European Space Agency between 1992 and 2017. The conclusion is published in the journal Geophysical Research Letters. Let me repeat who put up those orbiting satellites. European Space Agency. Where's NASA? Oh, that's right. Congress has been mostly controlled by Republicans in that time period, except for a couple of years here and there, and Republicans cut all such things. Now, to do research on Antarctica is challenging, to say the least. It's difficult to get to. The continent is about the size of the contiguous 48 states of the U.S., nearly twice the size of Australia, and it's frozen. Almost all of it, like 0.6% is not covered by ice. It is actually classified as a desert because of very little precipitation that's received there annually. Now, the snowfalls are low, but over millions of years, they've built up a reservoir of about 9/10 of the planet's fresh water, formed of snow and ice. Also the coldest place on Earth. A lot colder than the Arctic. Keep in mind that in the Northern Hemisphere, when winter is occurring in the Northern Hemisphere, Earth is closer to the sun, whereas when Antarctica is having their winter, Earth is farther from the sun. And we don't really have a very long historical data because when's the first time people really got down there? Right? Early 1900s. And again, just the logistics to get there is mind-boggling. So this latest study confirms a succession of alarming finds. The West Antarctica ice sheet is not just losing ice, it's doing so at ever faster speeds. This goes back to what I've repeated in my videos a lot, that the rate at which ice is being lost or glaciers are moving or other changes is occurring at faster rates than previously projected or predicted. Scientists have already suggested that the rate of loss for the Pine Island and Thwaites glaciers could be irreversible. So much has already been lost that the bedrock, crushed by its burden of ice for eons, is actually beginning to bounce up in response. This is called isostatic rebound. We saw this in North America when the great ice sheets receded. The continent of North America, no longer having the burden of all this, kilometers thick of ice on top of it, excuse me, rose back up. So the research was led by Andrew Shepherd of the University of Leeds in the UK. And he says, in parts of Antarctica, the ice sheet has thinned by extraordinary amounts, and we set out to show how much was due to changes in climate and how much was due to weather. Changes in snowfall tended, they found, to be reflected over changes in height over large areas for a few years, but the most pronounced changes have persisted for decades. It is the climate that is changing things, not the weather. The most pronounced changes have persisted for decades. It is the climate that is changing things, not the weather, meaning long term. Knowing how much snow has fallen has really helped us detect the underlying changing glacier ice within the satellite record. We can see clearly now that a wave of thinning has spread rapidly across some of Antarctica's most vulnerable glaciers, and their losses are driving up sea levels around the planet, Professor Shepherd says. He concludes, altogether, ice losses from East and West Antarctica have contributed 4.6 millimeters to global sea level rise since 1992. Now, 4.6 millimeters is approximately a quarter of an inch. That's a quarter of an inch. May not seem like much. We're talking about the entire global surface. That's a significant amount. And there's still a lot more. They said that's what it's declined by, what was the 122 meters. You know how thick those ice sheets are? Kilometers thick. 3 to 4 kilometers thick. That's 3,000 to 4,000 meters. So we're talking, let's just round down 100 meters. What's 100 over 3,000? 1/30th. Just if you want to go low ball. So if they all collapse, if they all melt along Greenland, we could see significant sea level rise, and you will. So I've done other videos talking about how much faster the ice rates, the loss of ice has been, the rate of the loss of ice, and so forth. And it appears to be accelerating. Not good. So thank you for your time, and talk soon. Hey folks, this is a reminder to please share my videos with others, and to also please tell others of my channel. Please subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so that you receive notifications when I upload new videos. I also hope that you will consider supporting the work that I do and supporting this channel by becoming a patron at patreon.com. Details in the description box below. Thank you for your support.